Hello and good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. The police have arrested 8 suspects with links to Islamic State and foiled threats against the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and the Prime Minister. In a statement, Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail says arrests of 6 men and 2 women took place on June 22nd and 23rd during a coordinated operation across 4 states. Initial investigations by the Special Branch Department revealed that there were threats against the King, the Prime Minister, prominent individuals and senior leadership of the Royal Malaysian Police. According to the statement, the suspects come from diverse backgrounds, including unemployed, housewives and educated professionals. He said the arrests were a follow-up to previous operations that took place earlier this year. The Dewan Rakyat today approved a motion to refer T Glo MP Wan Saiful Wan Jan to the Rights and Privileges Committee. This is due to his statements that a court case against him could be dropped. The motion, tabled by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department in charge of Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Seri Azalina Othman Said, was approved by a majority voice vote. Azalina said the motion to refer him to the committee was to determine whether the statements made by Wan Saiful were misleading to the House and damaged the interests of the parties involved in the case. She said that the committee could take any necessary evidence and thereafter should make a recommendation for the consideration of the House. The session turned chaotic after opposition bloc MPs walked out mid-session from today's parliament sitting to protest the motion. During the last parliament sitting in March, Wan Saiful claimed that several parties met him and offered to drop his court charges if he declared support for Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. The Bersatu man is charged with money laundering and corruption linked to the Jana Wibawa program. At a press conference later, the opposition said it was considering taking action against Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul, claiming that the decision to refer MP Wan Saiful Wan Jan to the Rights and Privileges Committee was illegal.
Jadi apa yang diputuskan oleh Speaker satu yang illegal, satu yang tidak sah bagi kami. Oleh sebab itulah walaupun kami diberikan peluang untuk berbahas satu orang, saya telah kemukakan kepada Yang Berhormat Speaker tadi. Ini tahun 2010. Dan pada masa itu ketua pembangkang dihadapkan ke jawatankuasa ini, dibenarkan 7 orang untuk berbahas. Semua yang ada dalam kerajaan sekarang ini sebahagian besarnya berbahas pada masa itu.
Diesel sales at petrol stations have decreased by 30% within the first week of the fuel subsidy rationalisation on June 10th. Second Finance Minister Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan says this was equivalent to a decrease of 8 million litres a day compared to the previous week. He said within the same period, the commercial sale of diesel or fuel purchased by companies at the unsubsidised market price had increased by 4 million litres. He said this indicated that some companies that should have purchased diesel at market prices had previously bought subsidised retail diesel. He added that the upward trend in commercial diesel sales is also positive as it indicates a reduction in subsidised diesel leakages. Amir Hamzah said the country's diesel subsidy expenditure had increased tenfold from 1.4 billion ringgit in 2019 to 14.3 billion ringgit in 2023, where it is no longer sustainable for the government in the long term. Government is expected to achieve annual savings of 4 billion ringgit with the rationalisation of subsidies. The government is in the process of identifying the masterminds and traitors among Malaysians who are helping the Sulu group in making their claims over Sabah. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department in charge of Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Seri Azalina Othman Said, says the identities of the instigators will be made known once all legal appeals are settled. According to Azalina, the government had received information indicating that these individuals are the instigators and informants of the self-claimed heirs of the defunct Sulu Sultanate. At the moment, she said that action against those assisting the claimants will have to wait pending the outcome of ongoing appeals in Spain, France, Luxembourg and the Netherlands. She added that the government plans to sue those found to have undermined Malaysia and ensure they compensate for the costs incurred. Regarding the latest progress on the claims made by the Sulu group, Azalina said on May 15th, the Madrid Court of Appeal had upheld the contempt of court conviction and sentence against arbitrator Gonzalo Stampa in the Sulu claimants case. The Social Welfare Department is investigating a total of 506 unregistered childcare centres that have been detected as of May 31st. The Women, Family and Community Development Minister, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, says her ministry's approach included taking enforcement actions under the provisions of the Child Care Centre Act 1984. Nancy told the Dewan Rakyat that following investigations, 8 childcare centres have been fined, 17 issued compound notices, and 2 cases brought to court from 2020 up to March this year. Nancy acknowledged that some of the childcare centres met the minimum operational standards set by the department but remained unregistered. One reason, she said, was difficulty in complying with the conditions and procedures set by different local authorities. She said her ministry would help by providing advisory services and helping them meet the requirements set by the related agencies. The ministry has assisted the registration process of a total of 189 childcare centres from September last year up to May 31st. The next meeting of the third session of the 15th Parliament will be moved later by a week. It was originally scheduled from October 7 to December 5th. Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul said it will now run from October 14th to December 12th. The sitting is scheduled to last for 35 days. Johari said that the matter was agreed upon by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim as the leader of the House in accordance with the Dewan Rakyat standing orders. He said a notice of the change was sent to all members on June 14th. Meanwhile, Johari said that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim has given royal assent to 14 bills passed in the first meeting of the third session of the 15th Parliament. The Penang government has confirmed an alignment for the Penang Mutiara Line LRT project as proposed by MRT Corp. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow says the state government had written to the Transport Ministry 2 weeks ago to confirm its agreement with the proposed alignment. According to him, the state has chosen an alignment similar to the original, with only slight differences. He said the alignment proposed by MRT Corp is the best for future connectivity with other routes. Chow then added that the alignment chosen by the state government starts from Silicon Island and connects Penang Central in mainland to the McCallum area in Georgetown. On March 29th, Transport Minister Anthony Loke announced that the federal government had officially taken over the Pinang LRT project from the state government, with MRT Corporation appointed as the developer and asset owner. We'll go for a short break. Stay with us.
Kadang-kadang rasa tak yakin nak hadap semua ni.
Mama, kita cuba ni nak. Yeay!
Alamak. Nak tambah kelazatan? Dengan Maggi Cukup Rasa, kita sahut cabarannya. Bawang segar dan rempah ratus melazatkan lagi masakan.
Maggi Cukup Rasa. Mama ni apa pun boleh.
Ada ni, Mama yakin apa pun jadi.
Hebat-hebat rasa Maggi Cukup Rasa.
Mereka berjaya membuktikannya. Innovaton kembali. Jom sertai Innovaton musim kedua. Jika anda ada idea menarik dan inovatif, sahut cabaran Innovaton. Anda berpeluang memenangi hadiah lumayan. Persembahkan idea 1 minit anda dan hantarkan video secara online. Atau hadirkan diri ke lokasi berikut untuk membentangkan idea anda. Selamat mencuba. Moga berjaya. Tonjolkan idea inovasi anda yang terpendam selama ini.
Welcome back. At least 22 people have died and 2 seriously injured after fire broke out at a lithium battery factory in South Korea. Most of them are Chinese nationals, according to local fire officials. The fire, which has been largely extinguished, occurred at around 10:30 a.m. local time at a factory run by battery manufacturer Irisel in Hwasong, south of the capital Seoul. Officials earlier reported a total of 23 workers missing after the blaze. About 100 workers were on the premises at the time. Local officials said the blaze began after a series of battery cells exploded inside the warehouse. As of now, what had triggered the explosion remains unclear. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the intense phase of fighting in Rafah in southern Gaza is nearly over, but that this does not mean that the war is coming to an end. He said the war would continue until Hamas was completely driven from power. Netanyahu also again rejected the idea of the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority running Gaza in place of Hamas. He added that the Israeli military would soon be able to move troops to the border with Lebanon, where strikes with Hezbollah have escalated. His comments came as top US General Charles Brown said an Israeli offensive in Lebanon had the potential to increase the risk of a wider conflict. Hezbollah, he said, is more capable than Hamas in overall capacity, and Iran is more inclined to provide greater support to Hezbollah. Israel and anti-Israel forces, including Hezbollah, have repeatedly exchanged fire across the UN-drawn blue line separating the two countries since October 7th. Tens of thousands of people in northern Israel and southern Lebanon have been displaced by the violence. More than 21,000 Palestinian children missing in Gaza as a result of Israel's attack on the enclave. British aid group Save the Children says the children are either lost, disappeared, detained or buried under rubble or in mass graves. While the ongoing conflict made verifying figures difficult, it is estimated that at least 17,000 children are believed to be unaccompanied and separated, while some 4,000 children are likely under the rubble. The group also said that an unknown number of children have been detained by Israeli forces, forcibly transferred out of Gaza, while a further number are suspected to be buried in mass graves scattered across the strip.
It has been incredibly difficult to verify the identity of children who have been killed in Gaza, as well as those found in mass graves, because their bodies have been harmed beyond recognition. And because so many children have had their families completely wiped out, have lost all next of kin, that's an added obstacle in identifying their identity, their names, and the families that they belong to.
She also emphasized the traumatic impact of the war on children, recounting cases of children so traumatized that they were unable to eat even when food is present. The group is calling for an independent investigation and accountability. At least 19 people were killed when gunmen attacked churches and synagogues in Russia's North Caucasus region of Dagestan on Sunday. The victims include police officers, civilians, and a priest. 6 gunmen were also reportedly killed during the attacks. Just before 6 p.m. local time on Sunday, gunmen with automatic weapons attacked an Orthodox church and a synagogue in Derbent, home to an ancient Jewish community in the predominantly Muslim region. The church was then set on fire. Footage published on social media also showed a group of gunmen engaged in heavy fire with police. At the same time, gunmen also attacked a traffic police post in the local capital of Makhachkala, about 125 kilometers north of Derbent, killing at least 1 police officer. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attacks in the volatile region. Russia's investigative committee classified the shooting as a terrorist attack and has opened an investigation. Dagestan, one of the poorest parts of Russia, is a predominantly Muslim republic. That wraps up this edition of AWANI Tonight. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching and good night.